Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our AI Essentials webinar, where today we're going to revisit the AI Essentials tools. We're going to take you through some of the recent developments that have taken place since the product was originally launched, and we're going to take a look at some of the new cool stuff, some of the new features that your team might not be using at the moment, but are certainly there in the product ready for them to use. We're then going to take a little look at the future roadmap and see what's in development in the pipeline for the months ahead. My name's Daniel Fox. I'm part of the marketing team here at Mercury, and I'm joined today by two of our product managers, Matt McNamara, who looks after AI, and Anna Griffin, who looks after search. We're also joined on the call by Chris Kendrick, our founder and CEO, who's going to give us his thoughts and vision a bit later on the future of AI Essentials. Hello to the three of you.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
Okay, cool. Microphones all working. That's great. Little bit of housekeeping. We do have a presentation deck that we're going to talk around, but there'll also be one or two short demos in there as well. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to add your questions in the chat, and we'll certainly circle back at the very end and cover off any of those questions and points. So yeah, let's get started. Matt, let's begin with you. Could you tell us a little bit about what is AI Essentials?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So our current kind of approach to AI Essentials is a group of individual products as themselves. They cover 5 different areas within Mercury, so vacancy, contact, shortlist, and within search. All of these are kind of individual modules that will greatly benefit the consultant's day-to-day life, whilst also kind of creating the foundation for future work, which will hopefully combine all of those modules together in some aspect. Majority of the responses are from fixed inputs, and it's not ChatGPT, or it kind of never will be, so you can't at the moment have that kind of interaction. However, the responses are more recruitment specific and actually takes valuable data from within Mercury, which is something that ChatGPT can't actually do. Our prompts can actually be customizable, which I'll touch on in a little minute. They can be changed and they can be adapted based on your business needs without any need for any deployment or clearing of any cache, which is rather annoying. Most important thing is that all of these AI Essentials are fully embedded within Mercury, meaning that it's less time spent outside the platform, less time switching between apps, and most importantly, no more copying and pasting, which is, can be troublesome. So it's fully embedded within Mercury, and we don't have to jump between any tools. We see 4 main pillars of our AI products, which will enhance the consultant's life within Mercury and keep them within Mercury. The first one is from an appointment or a phone call. We can suggest those next steps and actually create those records without any kind of user having to add them. Ultimately means we get the consultant doing the things that they're great at, building those relationships between the candidates and the contacts. Filling jobs faster with AI written jobs. AI on a vacancy can easily create you a job advert or email within a couple of clicks of your mouse. Generate those consistent adverts and emails whilst also generating great questions to potentially screen candidates. We can easily summarize and shortlist candidates and create emails to those quite quickly, and again with a couple of clicks of a button. You can impress your clients with speed and precision and consistency. You can easily decide if a candidate is suitable for a job role that you've shortlisted them to. Get AI to do all of that legwork between reviewing the CV and reviewing that data on the actual vacancy record. And we've fully embedded our AI within our search, which massively aids consultants with trying to find the right candidate immediately and having AI give you suggestions and even create the search for you. Find that hidden talent that you would otherwise miss within search and within Mercury.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I know one of the things you've been looking at is transcription, and I know we've seen AI note takers that promise to make life easier for us all, but often they end up as just another standalone tool. There's information that it might capture, but never actually makes it back to the system that you're actually doing the work in. Never mind, of course, the fact that a lot of these AI note takers actually become quite expensive. Now, I know Mercury takes a different approach to this in order to capture every detail from meetings and keep them directly inside the platform. Matt, could you tell us a little bit more about transcription, please?
Yeah, absolutely. As you kind of mentioned, anybody and anything can kind of take notes, but the biggest thing is not everything or anyone is embedded. Normally, you'd have to invite a person to the meeting or remember to invite somebody to the meeting. Not with Mercury transcripts. We've got it fully embedded. Once obviously you've got on consent as well, you can just transcribe that meeting within Teams and let Mercury do the rest. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you get that consultant's focus in on the main thing, which is building those relationships and what they do best. What we've got here is something that we've developed which will give the user an in-app notification following a meeting, and you can easily then dive into Activity AI or open that relevant record. So I've got a couple of demos actually, so I'm going to just take the screen off you, Dan, if that's okay. So the first one is that I've had a client meeting which I've transcribed. Following that meeting, I actually get an in-app notification at the top. I can see that a transcript has been summarized for me, so no human interaction. I just transcribe the meeting, and yeah, I get this in-app notification that appears straight away. We summarize that transcript using AI and update the relevant appointment record. Once it's been summarized, I get this notification where I get two actions effectively that I can do. I get some details around what's actually happened, the date and time, and the summary saved back to the appointment. I can view that appointment if I want, which will open up a mode or window for me, give me details of that actual meeting. And you can see from down below that I've actually transcribed that meeting. It's given me a summary. It's given me the high level points of what's been discussed during that meeting. Probably the most powerful thing regarding this notification is actually the ability to launch our Activity AI. So immediately I have that phone call, I get that notification, I can get Mercury AI to suggest those next steps for me, create those records for me. I've got all of my details on the left-hand side there. And then what I can do is I can analyze my activity, which will suggest to me either an info record being created, or if you didn't know, one of our new features that we've just developed is the ability to create a vacancy directly from here. So I get a little toggle at the top. If I use info records, I can go ahead and create an info record, or I can actually create a vacancy record where I get a little bit more information. I can choose the type, and I can easily create all of those records with just a couple of clicks of a button without having to go through my notes, trying to decipher my notes that I've taken during the call, and even create follow-up phone calls and follow-up emails as well that I can choose to send automatically or create as draft, all of those types of things from my client contact call. We are continuing to do work within this Activity AI to make it a little bit more user intuitive. So you might see some different UI changes coming within the future. I can save that, and I get a little notification which will tell me exactly what I'm creating within Mercury. On the other side of it, if I have a candidate appointment, I've had a candidate meeting, I get exactly that same behavior. I get my notification, which will tell me who it was with, the date and time. Again, I can view that appointment, which will tell me and give me that kind of AI summary of that transcript. And again, I can launch Activity AI immediately from here. With it being a candidate call, I actually get a little bit more information, and I get some extra fields that I want to. So not only do I get the same details around the email and follow-up appointments, I can actually update the candidate record directly from here. So I can input their job title, can do their latest employer, can select whether their contract and their current rates as an example, and I can even include any role sort or any comments and immediately save that back to their individual record. All of that from within Activity AI.
Thank you, Matt. We're done? Yeah. All right, let me take that screen back. I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so let me grab that screen. There we go. And that's worked. I really like that, creating the vacancy straight off the back of that. Then it's a good way to save time and obviously reduces the admin, but I see that cutting down the number of errors that people make as well by having to move stuff across from one set of notes to the other. So I think that's going to cut out a lot of problems further down the line as well. That's really good. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to stick with you, Matt, if I can. We have had some feedback from some clients that they are still using other generative AI tools, things like ChatGPT, to do certain things because they have their own specific ways of working, or, for example, they have their own ways that they want to present candidates. So they use very specific prompts in order to get the information back in the way that they want to present it to their clients. And Matt, I know that's something that you've been working on and addressing. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, of course. One of our kind of key bits of feedback that we got was that customers couldn't tailor the response in a format that they wanted. It was one of the biggest things that come back from all of it, and yeah, we've listened. We know that all of our customers have different structures and different templates that work for them, and how you'd want a particular job advert laid out. What we've done is we've developed something called custom prompts, and it allows you to effectively do that. You get to decide on the layout and the format that you want. So if you're constructing a job advert and you want sections of about the company first, then about the role, then potentially about the ideal candidate, you can do that all within Mercury. What we found was customers were going outside, creating prompts in ChatGPT for their users. User would then go in and then just change the job title. We've now enabled that within Mercury to allow these custom prompts. And that is exactly the same for summarizing a candidate. So when you're summarizing a candidate, you can set that response to be in the format that your consultants are used to and what works for your business.
Thank you, Matt. There is really important point to make here, and that's that although you want to be in control of how you present a candidate, and that's why you have these prompts and things anyway, you really want the business to be in control of that, and that's why it's really important to be in the system, so that you're not ever leaving it in the hands of the consultants to come up with their own prompts, which every now and again is going to deviate from what you really want. So this really keeps the business in control of that a lot more. So yeah, Matt, am I right in saying this is available now? Yeah.
It is, yeah. So it's available now for everybody. Everybody should have prompt configuration and prompt rules within their environment. We've actually had some really good feedback on this feature, and we worked quite closely with one of our customers to actually update the prompts and get some good results. Worked closely with the CSM, so it'll be involving the CSM within those conversations. And yeah, we can get those prompts and responses to be in the perfect layout and format that you want as a business.
Excellent. Right, get in touch with your CSM. Okay, we're going to turn our attention to search now. There we go. We know it's actually quite hard to interpret a job spec sometimes and then be able to turn that into a good search query. It's a good search query that can uncover all the right people every time. We know that can be quite difficult to do, particularly if you're new to a role or new to a desk, or it's a new market or something. And that's something that Anna and her team have been working to address now. Anna, could you show us some of the work that you've been doing to help bridge those gaps and make search more powerful?
Yeah, sure. I'll just give you a quick demo of an example I've got.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to your screen now.
Okay, great. So yeah, as you've said, it's not always easy to know exactly where to start with building a search. You've got the vacancy, but you might not be familiar with all the terminology. And so here we've got an example of a vacancy for a full stack developer. You've got the job advert and the job description that explains what you want. There's a few skills that are essential in the job description and a few that are desirable. So if you launch search to search for candidates, we automatically already will populate the job title, any tags that you have, and the location of the vacancy. But now you can click Enhance with AI as well, and we'll look at the job description and the advert and generate some keywords for you. So you don't have to go through and work out which ones to add. We'll look and build some groups for you. And so as you can see, we start with the mandatory or anything that's mentioned as essential. And then in a separate group, we've got anything that was a nice to have or a desirable sort of skill or keyword. And so those ones will be in an all group. So your results don't need all of them. And then we've also got the AI suggestions are automatically applied. So we can add in some alternative spellings or sort of synonyms as well to really expand that search and make sure you're finding everyone that might be relevant. And obviously with those, you can then deselect any that you don't want and tailor the search even more from there. But really just sort of gets you started with the most important things that are mentioned in the job description or the advert. So it can, bring everyone onto that same level of query building to give everyone the best start with it.
Thanks, Anna. So I'm just looking at some of those terms. If you've never worked a Java developer role and you don't know your Angular, your SE, and JS2 or whatever other full stack language that gets spoken about, it's going to help me if I'm new to that, if I'm working a role that I'm not already used to. But even in developing markets as well, where terminology changes and you need to keep pace with what's going on, or maybe it's a new market for your business to start operating in, it's going to allow you to broaden your search but also refine it and get the right people because of using the right terms there. So I really like that one. Thank you, Anna. Chris, we've looked at all of the here and now stuff, but looking forward, do you want to take us through what we have in the pipeline?
I will do. Do you want me to share my screen for this, or are you going to?
You can do if you're on the, yeah, that'd be great.
I shall do that. Bear with me. And I'm just going to cover off because obviously those questions have been coming through. So might be quite useful to pick up on that. So, I mean, just to talk about the transcription piece, I've got a bit of a bugbear myself personally with AI note takers. I think you pay too much for them. I think they do a fraction of what they should do, although they give you great outputs, but you can't take the data back in. So just to summarize some of the questions that have come through, it will support multi-language. You will get the summary after a meeting. So it's a Teams meeting where you've chosen to either record or just transcribe it. There just needs to be a recording. And then what we do is it's a calendar-backed meeting with Outlook. We get a notification from your Microsoft Teams environment to say there is a transcript available. We will automatically do the plumbing to match that to the correct appointment and then summarize it on the appointment and give you the next steps. There's no additional cost for that in terms of what happens, although we do need to work with you just to understand your volumes, your current plan, and to understand whether token usage will be covered. But ideally, this is looking to move towards a non-chargeable feature. Over and above and in addition to that, there is an opportunity for customers, if they're on Teams phone, that we can also get those transcripts for you as well. So if you're not already aware or familiar, if you're using voice over IP, PSTN services, Microsoft have one, you can transfer your numbers to it, you can buy numbers from it, and it's got most of the functionality you would expect from a telephony system, other than things like barge and listen and whisper. Although arguably, if you've got the transcript, you're going to learn what was said in the call anyway. And in those cases, we can also so we're just about to move into development on the Teams transcript calling. We've just got the API made available to us by Microsoft, and we'll be looking to preview that in the coming weeks with customers. And again, that's not going to require any additional licensing other than the fact that you need Teams phone. I'm not sure at the moment whether we could take other third parties' transcriptions. I expect through our consultancy team we possibly could, because I expect that we could write an automation upon the creation of a transcript. As long as it's accessible to us or to you, then we could push it through to our transcript engine, and therefore it can feed it. But that would definitely be a consultancy offering, which, if you're not aware, is a team that do bespoke work on behalf of customers. And then in terms of updating more information, so Matt, although he delivered a great demo, probably didn't include in the transcript information that the candidate may have given him, like, I'm looking for 50k, I'm on 4 weeks notice, I'm ideally looking for project management roles in central London, because it will actually pre-populate those fields. And one of the directions that we do want to take that is looking at the conversation to see if there was anything else said, like an interview confirmation. I can make the 2 o'clock time that you spoke about on the 11th. So that's where we'll look to take that further as well, or acceptance of offer as an example. So, and then the other thing, just coming back to that final question I've seen drop in, we are absolutely not going to be dropping transcripts into Dataverse storage. I'll go in on another session as and when we need to, but you won't need to be concerned about Dataverse storage, because that's the last thing that we want to do. So I just wanted to do a wrap up on those questions. And I'm just looking at that. I'll come back to you on that separate question on 8x8. So what's coming kind of like next and later? So we're an agile development business, 8 different development teams working on different areas of the product at any one time. And obviously, have you met looking after search, Matt looking after 2 of our other teams, the team around automations and AI, but also one of our core dev teams. There's 6 other teams, but we're just talking about AI today. When we do things now, it literally means in the sprint that we're in, or in the one that's about to start, and we have sprints every 2 weeks. Next is we're already planning this work, so it's due to start imminently now, within 1 to 2 sprints time. Later is everything that's after that. We don't keep 3, 6, 12-month roadmaps, or at least we do, but they change continuously as the needs of the market and the customer base change. But here's a quick look to some of the things that we're about to do next. So vacancy creation through parsing. So if you've got a job description, if you want to use natural language to quickly, from either a list of vacancies or moving forward anywhere within the system, just drop a job spec in. We will go ahead and go and create that vacancy on the system for you. We will automatically extract the information that you need from that and obviously populate the information. That can then trigger vacancy AI, so you can have your job ad. That will then also be able to search, trigger some search capabilities that I will come on to as well. This is a next feature. That means that we're about to start this work within the next 1 to 2 sprints. So again, we'll be looking to start releasing this in preview within the next month or so. Beyond that, we've got applicant suitability and screening. This is again a next feature. We've already done the development on parts of this. We're now going to start to bring it in. So suitability first is going to form part of AI Essentials, as will vacancy creation and parsing, by the way. Applicant suitability, it'll be a 2-stage process. First of all, when a vacancy or a job is created on Mercury, we will look to effectively benchmark that. It'll use similar functionality to what the search team are using with the enhanced process that looks at the job and says, what are the must-have and the non-negotiables? What are the nice-to-haves? And what are the differentiating qualities? And then based on that information, create a benchmark for what we think the best candidate might look like. And then for each and every applicant that arrives, so if you're posting via Broadbean, Idaboo, wherever it may be, as those applicants come back into Mercury, they'll all be given a suitability, which is either be suitable or non-suitable, and they'll be given a score out of 100. Most importantly, for the various AI data protection and everything else, all those good acts at the moment, there'll be full traceability and transparency as to how, for each and every item, that score was derived. And it'll also give a set of questions. So the first 2 stages there will give us, I think I lost a slide, but not to worry. They'll give us our job requirements, they'll give us our suitability, and they will create relevant screening questions. Relevant screening questions aren't for all candidates for the same job, they're for each candidate for that job. So if you're advertising, someone used a Java developer role a minute ago, I'll keep that as an example, and they need strong Ruby on Rails and J2E experience. If a candidate comes in that doesn't demonstrate strong experience in one of those areas, and it looks to be a mandatory or a must-have requirement, the questions will probably center around those items. You'll be able to set a benchmark score. If a candidate scores over 85% as an example for a particular thing, you may not choose to ask them anything else about it. It's clear they're above your threshold. But if someone lands below 85%, you might start to ask them questions about it. And the first part of that is all part of vacancy AI, which will be, that's where we'll put applicant suitability. The next part is actually agentic. So this is having candidates interact with a chat. This won't be a voice chat, although we've already done the proof of concept on that. This will be a chatbot experience. The most likely execution of that will be they'll either get an SMS or an email saying, look, we've matched you for this role that you've applied for. We've got some further questions for you. Click here. That chat is likely to take them onto your website, but with a chat agent experience where they'll go through these questions. So the evaluation, the suitability, and the questions, this would possibly be an outcome for this particular candidate who's going for a QA role. There have been questions created. We've got a summary of where this person has landed. We've got the screening questions that a human or an agent can go to them with. And then you've got the current suitability score. They're at 78%. They're deemed to be suitable. Different candidate in this process, you start to see they go on to say, can you describe your experience with the relational databases and how you've used SQL in a professional setting? So it takes them specifically from it. So the question that's just appeared in the chat, they're dynamic questions. So as soon as that candidate enters the fray, it tries to determine, again, using AI, based on their experience, where they may or may not meet the most important facets of that role. We're also going to introduce knockout questions. So are you eligible to work in the UK? Have you got a driving license? Are you happy to work 3 days a week in the office? As examples, you will set those things up. This is something we're working on right now as well, and we're going to be looking for preview customers to have a look at applicant screening. Moving on from what Anna has mentioned with enhance with AI within search, we're going to be introducing a search copilot. Now, we've looked at this already. If you use search today, if you go to the menu options in the top right, we introduced a natural language query. It'll say copilot with the word beta next to it. We've decided over the last few months what we want to do with that, and we want to use it as a mechanism to either construct a search or more likely refine a search. So your use case here, in this case, I've run a search for a project manager with AI and digital transformation. I've used enhance or I've used AI suggestions to get me a little bit more information. You'll note where we're likely to put the addition now of the Copilot experience. So this will live here and offer your users the opportunity to refine further that search. In this example, I want to refine to people who have worked for wealth management companies in central London. A feature I absolutely love about AI suggestions is when you go to an employer, you say Citibank, you click a button and it gives you 10 of their competitors. One of our current prospects actually said to us, what about if we only work with people in a particular region of the country? So that particular client was about housing associations in the West Midlands. So we wanted Copilot now, so you can be really specific about what you want to put in there and ask AI to give you the suggestions, and then the output of this, it will automatically put it in here. So this is your ability to talk. I talk because my typing's terrible, or type to the system and be able to refine searches, and that will again just form part of AI Essentials as part of our search AI proposition. What we're probably likely to do with that then is give you the ability to go out and do screening, but that's the future. Data enrichment, everyone's using parsing. I think there's some limitations in parsing generally, but I definitely think there's some opportunities with parsing that could be reached. So every CV or resume that enters your system, there's some really rich information that never updates your database, and that's typically the information about companies that the candidate has worked for. So if I was to take a snippet of my LinkedIn profile and I've got a list of companies there, imagining that was my CV, but it's been a long time since I wrote a CV. Then what we're going to look to do is actually go and identify the exact legal entities and companies that you've said, because we'll give it information about you, your skill set, your location to derive what the actual company is. So if you just say Mercury, there's many Mercuries in the world. We just want to identify exactly which organization that is. And then in that process, we can understand more about that organization. We can link the candidate to that physical organization, potentially updating your client database. We can understand the sort of thing that organization recruits. We could possibly go on to understand the number of employees they have, their turnover, their sick code. There's a lot of other information that we can gather just because we've parsed a CV. So that's something that we're likely to work on quite soon. I would expect to start having something out in preview towards the end of the calendar year. And then match and outreach. So with what Anna described earlier with Enhance with AI, we want to be able to call these things programmatically. So I'll give you a use case. We're going to introduce automations through our Automate framework, which will allow you to call our endpoints that search is based on. Now, you might just have this, that you have different criteria. You might have a job that you put on as a grade D job, which means if we're going to put it on the system, maybe someone is KPI'd on it, but we're not going to work it. It's low margin, it's too competitive. Let the machine work it. Likewise, you might have a business process that says if within 4 days of a contract vacancy going into the system, we haven't had at least 3 submissions, or within 2 weeks of a permanent role going on, we haven't had 3 submissions, automatically use that automation, which will go out, it will call our endpoints. So it'll run those same enhanced endpoints that we've demonstrated in the user interface to match suitable candidates. And we will then look to do that same screening process that we're going to do in applicant screening. So your scenario there might be, it's gone out, it's identified an extra 50 people, 3 of those people have expressed an interest in that role. It will take them through the applicant suitability, the screening, and pop a notification back into the recruiter's in-app or Teams box to say, automation's just identified another candidate who's interested in your role. They've given the right representation. Here's a time to call them. Here's their scoring. This is definitely a later thing because we want to finalize the enhanced process, but I would see this as something that we'll start to work on in calendar Q1 next year. And then finally, and this is a slightly bigger item, and this is where I'm going to finish off, everything we spoke about with transcripts. So taking the value of those transcripts, whether they're from a meeting or from a call where we can access it, and putting that into what effectively we're internally calling as a conversational data lake, where we can try and understand everything that's happening, whether that's in a call transcript, a meeting transcript, and potentially tracked emails that are all coming through the system, to understand when you have conversations with clients and when you have conversations with candidates, what's discussed, what the sentiment is, what the channel is used, at what time of day, in what market, so that we can then start to understand when making a business development call or meeting, is it about building quick rapport at the start of the meeting and then going on to ask for the business? Is it just asking for the business? What are the key things that the most successful people are having? Not necessarily your top billers, because I think we all probably know your top billers isn't the best blueprint for what you want. It's probably those people smack bang in the middle that continually convert, they continually pick up jobs, and they continually close candidates. What are the behaviors of those people that's more repeatable that we can take to our new starters? If through that we can understand what's being said in the market, so you can understand the trends, who's talking about government changes, economy, tariffs, what impact that's having on their business, redundancies, layoff, investment, growth, what's happening within those conversations. And also from those conversations with candidates, when they say that they worked at Mercury, Crimson, Spring, Millward Brown, what technologies did they tell you about that those companies worked on, so that we can enrich the rest of the database. So this is definitely a next year thing, but this all starts with the work that we're doing on transcripts. So that's a bit of a look into the future. As I say, some of those things are immediately on our roadmap. They're very much next things. And what we'll do after this session is we'll run a quick CSM session so they can understand with you when to talk about these things. Not all things will be included in AI Essentials, so screening will be an agent experience. We're just doing all the costings on that at the moment. We expect it will be significantly cheaper than point solutions that we've seen in the market, or those that are available from the likes of Salesforce with their Agentforce proposition. So we're going to make sure this is as best priced as possible and cheaper than other solutions in the market.
There's one question coming while you were doing that. I think it was around applicant screening, Chris. Where do these questions come from? Do we have to set them up?
Yeah, no, I thought I touched on that, but just in case I didn't, it is dynamic. So if you've got a CRM implementation project manager role and they want someone with Dynamics experience and the recruitment industry, maybe you've had someone that comes in that's expertise in the recruitment staffing industry but doesn't know Dynamics, but they know Salesforce. The other candidate has got expertise within Dynamics but not really been around recruitment or staffing. They'll get different questions. One about their knowledge of CRM systems and transferable knowledge across to Dynamics. The other one will be what experience they may have, if any, about the recruiting industry. So they will be dynamic, and it will read the JD and the candidate CV and resume, and it will look to match those up. And if there is information that's gathered in that conversation where they give you information about salary, insights, what role they're looking for, notice period, again, we will be looking to update the database. Our future plan with that is to have an agent through chat where you can use it to bring the database back to life. So you can have people that you're constantly reaching out to say, what's your current situation? We've recently released our vacancy search. We're going to make that API endpoint available to the agent so that it can say, we've just matched you to these roles, and it will extend it into applicant screening. So whether they come in as someone that you've reached out about a potential vacancy, or they've approached you as an applicant, or you've approached them because their CV is out of date, we want to get this constant update pattern happening where they can update their details on Mercury through a chat experience, look at suitable roles, and screen and qualify for those roles, and we can put them right back into the hands of the recruiter.
Thank you. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of the webinar. If you do have any further questions, then please do get in touch with your CSM. I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't remind you about the Mercury community. The Mercury team do hang out there, along with hundreds of your peers as well. So do go on the Mercury community and have a look around on there. One of the polls or questions on the community at the moment as well allows you to pre-register for all of our product webinars that we do. 2 o'clock on the Tuesday is becoming the kind of Mercury webinar time at the moment, but we are giving people the opportunity to kind of subscribe to get those invites automatically from now on as well. So you don't have to attend every single one. You can decline the invite if you want, but it does mean at least that you're kept in touch and informed on any of these webinars going forward. But yeah, that brings us to the end. Thanks, Chris, Matt, and Anna for taking us through all of that. And yeah, I wish you all a pleasant afternoon.